Well, salutations, Stan the Fan Charles.
Good morning, Glenn Clark. How are you?
Uh,
Salutations back at you, my dog.
I don't know what's going on with you this morning. I don't know what got into you,
I
Stan.
slept. I slept well last night.
Okay, well, Stan's
So
fired up, and
got some energy.
all right, he's ready to go today. I was a little bit better. I had a little bit of a better week picks wise last week.
Yeah. To recap it, Glenn, you went 2-1 to move to 5-7, and I went 0-3, which moved me to 5-7. So we are after 12 games in 4 weeks, and isn't it hard to believe it's already 4 weeks
It is.
into the season? We are tied at 5-7 as we move into week 5. Glenn had the Chiefs getting 2.5, and he was right on the money. I was incorrect that the Ravens would show up and play a good game. So Glenn won that one. Glenn had his lock winner was the Chicago Bears over Las Vegas. They got 1.5 and they won the game outright. And Glenn also was correct. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, was incorrect that the New York Giants would be a lock loser. They won the game outright over the Chargers to go 2-1. But I had, as we said, the Ravens. I had Green Bay -6.5, and they played Dallas to a 40-40 tie and brought in some questions about their defense. And New England, in a game that I predicted they would probably lose to Carolina and couldn't understand that spread at all. I have a newfound respect for Mike Vrabel's New England Patriots. They absolutely cold-cocked the Carolina Panthers at home and gave some hope to Patriot fans who haven't had a lot to cheer about the last couple seasons.
Yep. All right. So
who are we brought to you by, Mr. Clark?
Yeah, of course, as always, we are brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, give them a call or a text or visit that website for free confidential services, as well, of course, as the Costas Inn.
Two great locations now for the Costas Inn. The old location, 4100 North Point Boulevard. If you're planning a friendly crab feast or a family crab feast, or just you and your wife or you and your brother want to go eat crabs and watch a ball game, you got to go to 4100 North Point Boulevard. But the same great menu, perhaps minus the pork chops, is available for you at the new great location for the Costas Inn, which is the grandstand, second floor of Timonium Racecourse, right next to the OTB. Same great service, same great family atmosphere at the Costas Inn.
All right, Stanley, we begin with the depleted, to say the least, Baltimore Ravens taking on the Houston Texans at home this Sunday, 1 o'clock. The Ravens likely to be without Lamar Jackson, although that's not confirmed. It does look like there may be good news on the Ronnie Stanley front, but that's about the only good news they've gotten injury-wise. No Marlon Humphrey, no Roquan Smith. Defensive line, I think you could get a few snaps on the D-line at this point. Now some questions about Kyle Hamilton's availability. It's just a disaster for the Baltimore Ravens defensively. But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, the play.
How do you enjoy the play? Yeah. Glenn, isn't it interesting so far through 4 weeks of the football season, the Orioles and Ravens seasons kind of mirror each other.
In a way.
With all the injuries and the lack of performance. Lamar Jackson's probably pitching better than Charlie Morton was at this time.
Slightly.
But you get the picture. They're very similar seasons. Yeah.
So the Ravens still, however, are only 1.5-point dogs at home against the Texans team that also sits at 1-3. Their issues less about the injuries. Certainly it's hurt them to not have Joe Mixon, but more just about general disappointment in a team that has struggled this year. So, Stan, just real quick, I've been using this 30th anniversary Ravens paddle this season.
Yep.
Right? Well, I didn't tell everybody why I made it, really. The reason I made it is I took the paddles home one week to do the picks from home and put them in my backpack. And when I got it out of the backpack, this is what my Ravens paddle looked like. But given the state of the Baltimore Ravens at the moment,
That's apropos.
that's about right. And so we're going to stick with that paddle for
Okay.
today's picks and see if the beat up, disheveled, disgruntled
Tattered Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens have a
All
chance
right.
against the Texans on
All
Sunday.
right. I'm going to do the thumbs up and thumbs down.
All right.
Thumbs up if I like the Ravens. Thumbs down if I'm taking the Texans. Okay.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, and wow. Wow.
Yep. We're both taking the Ravens. Go ahead. Tell us why, Glenn.
I don't know why, Stan. There's something about the Ravens that somehow when we all count them out, when we all say they can't recover from this, that somehow, some way they figure out a way to do it. I am concerned, to say the least. I'm concerned. I think it's totally plausible that the Texans come here, and frankly, I think it's possible the Texans come in here and
roll us. Yeah,
100%. But I think the strategy for this week, particularly given how much John Harbaugh called out Todd Monken this week, I think that there's going to be an overcorrection. And I think Derrick Henry is going to get the football basically on every snap in the first half. And I just have this funny feeling that somehow, some way, a team that we have written off figures out a way to win this football game and keep their season alive.
Yeah, look, I mean, it can get late awfully early in an NFL season. And this is a let's be honest, it's a must win for the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know that the Texans were thought to be a major contender this year, so it's probably a do or die win for them as well, or they dropped to 1-4 also. But I think the Ravens, being at home, they did acquire Cooper Rush for just this kind of moment. We'll find out if he's up to the moment, but I still think there's more than enough offensive talent on the Ravens to win this football game. I don't have a lot of faith. I find it very ironic that John Harbaugh has chosen this week, and I have no problem with calling out Todd Monken. I think some of the play calls and just strategy decisions. I mean, I heard Vinny Serrato yesterday talking about this. I think the Ravens are 30th in the league in rush attempts, and they're number 1 in rushing efficiency, meaning that they're averaging over 6 yards a carry. There's something really rotten in that, and frankly, I don't understand why it's taken John Harbaugh 3 weeks to call out Todd Monken for that, or just order some
code. Right. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
But having said that, I don't understand where the criticism of Monken is that heavily. We're averaging like 30 points a game, and Zach Orr's getting no criticism. So
it's a very fair point, and I've got some questions about Zach Orr. I would also say that it might need to be a little bit more complimentary. You know the defense is bad. You got to keep them off the field.
Yep.
So
I think that's one of the key things, too, is you have to control the football and time of possession. When you're playing defenses poorly, you can't give them 35 minutes out on the field, 35 to 40 minutes on the field.
All right. Inexplicably, we are together on this one. So, Stan, I had the first pick this week, and I typically never go anywhere close to a large spread. I hate large spreads in the NFL. It's just so insanely difficult to cover. There's so many goofy things that can happen in a football game. I don't want to touch them. But there were some numbers that did jump out at me about how good the Detroit Lions have been to bettors in general. The Detroit Lions in their last 20 games are 14-5-1 against the spread. In their last 52 games, they're 38-13-1 against the spread. The Detroit Lions cover the damn spread. And the Cincinnati Bengals, who had a terrible defense coming into the year, had a moribund offensive line, cannot run the ball. They have nothing going for them. Jake Browning actually looked competent the last time he had to play. He's done 0, and the Lions' offense is an absolute juggernaut. There is a chance they hang 50 on this Bengals defense, which is putrid and woeful. I hate 10.5-point spreads. I hate them But the Bengals are a disaster defensively. The Lions have looked like a machine since that week 1 game. They've done everything the way that they've wanted to do it. So I'm not going to be afraid of it. The Detroit Lions are my lock winner despite being 10.5-point favorites this week.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Glenn. And that might have been my number 1 pick had it been my week to go 1. I looked carefully at this week, and there weren't a lot of games that jumped out at me that I loved. But the New York Giants are getting 1.5 at New Orleans, and Jackson Dart played a very efficient, I won't call it spectacular, but played a very efficient game 1 of his NFL career. And I'll tell you, the only thing missing at the end of that game was Brian Dable sticking his tongue down Jackson Dart's throat.
Yeah.
He loves Jackson Dart. I mean,
he just saved him his job. I mean, I understand. Brian Dable was going to be in the unemployment line.
He saved his job for 1 week. The question is, are the Giants a little bit better than we thought they were when they get competent quarterback play? And I think the answer is yes. I don't love that the game's on the road, but getting points coming off a victory like that, I think they're on a little bit of an up right now. I don't know how long it'll last because they play the Eagles next week, I think on Thursday Night Football. But the Giants here, to me, are the play getting points against a pretty hapless New Orleans Saints team.
I completely get it. There's still a little bit of a concern to me that maybe we're overreacting to one Giants performance and that ultimately they're still going to be hapless too. But they actually look better without Tyrone Tracy and just sort of sticking with Cam Scadaboo. We will have to see the impact of losing Malik Neighbors as well. But I completely understand that pick. The Saints are garbage.
All right. Who's your lock loser, Glenn Clark?
My lock loser is a team that's playing very good football, and they're actually home dogs. The Jacksonville Jaguars are my lock loser, and that has a little bit more to do with their opponent, the Kansas City Chiefs, who stand, as you know, when the Chiefs are favored by small numbers, I am all over it. I love the Chiefs as small favorites every time you get that opportunity. On Monday night, they are 3-point favorites against the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Patrick Mahomes, not surprisingly, has owned the Jaguars in his career. I understand the argument would be this is a better Jaguars team than the ones that he has faced for the most part. Probably 5-0 straight up, 4-1 against the spread all time against the Jaguars. And they just look like a much different team, which isn't surprising. They got Xavier Worthy back. They didn't really have any receivers to throw the ball to the first 3 weeks of the season. I think we overreacted to how bad they looked offensively, remembering this is still Patrick Mahomes and this is still Andy Reid, and you're giving me Andy Reid versus Liam Cohen, and I'm taking my chances every time in that matchup. I like the Chiefs here. Give me the Jaguars as my lock loser.
All right. This pick that I have is based on Sunday night's post-game show that when you go over to Peacock and Chris Collinsworth's son, what's his name, Dak?
Yeah,
Jack Collinsworth hosts that show with Tony Dungy and Rodney Harrison. They were talking a lot about how poor the Buffalo Bills' defense against the run is, and they were predicting outright that New England was going to Mike Vrabel was going to really run the football down their throat. I think there's a chance that New England can keep this ball game close. Drake May has been, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, which is saying something.
Yeah.
I think they can keep this game close. I certainly am not predicting they'll win the game, but I think Buffalo is probably looking ahead a little bit and coming off their first victory in the Vrabel era. I think the Patriots are going to be up for this game. It's a division game. I think they lose the game, but lose it by about 4 or 5 points.
I actually bet this game this week, Stan, and so now I'm very worried that there's a reason, because this line just seems stinky, and now I'm worried that it's so stinky that it's a reverse lock and that I screwed this up a little bit. But I'm in agreement with you. This line does not. It does
not. I'm in agreement. Wow.
Yeah, no, that can't be good news. We're both 5-7 on the season.
All right, let's recap. let's recap. Glenn and I both like the Ravens getting 1.5 points. I don't know that we're quite sure why we like them, but they're our team for better or for worse, and we're taking the Ravens. Glenn's lock winner is the Detroit Lions, who have looked like a juggernaut after their Week 1 loss at Green Bay. That's his lock winner. My lock winner is the New York Giants, fresh off their first victory of the year with Jackson Dart at quarterback. They're in New Orleans getting 1.5 points. Glenn's lock losers, the Jacksonville Jaguars, because he just loves Kansas City whenever they're a small spread. In fact, we may change a rule next year that you can't take Kansas City.
Oh, the hell with that. Hell with that. When it works, Stan, you ride it. You ride it as a better. Whatever's working.
I hear you. And I like the New England Patriots to be able to keep the game close, thereby making Buffalo, with their 8.5 point spread, my lock loser of the week. That's it for Week 5, and we are brought to you by Glenn.
1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, and the Costas Inn, 2 locations, including the all-new location now open in Timonium. And we will see you all in just a few minutes. Stan will be joining me at 11 for Glenn Clark Radio today. Ian Eagle will join us before he calls Ravens-Texans on Sunday. And we're going to get into some baseball conversation. Did the Orioles maybe give something away this week? We'll talk about that coming up at 11.